Reno Cervone, proprietor chef at Heritage. Mayo was eating like antelope tartare at some Tampa restaurant. Have you ever dabbled in any like one of these Anthony Bourdain type of things? Have you ever done any kind of Bourdain type of dishes at any of your restaurants? So where you had something that nobody would ever in their right mind order unless they were on some kind of hallucinogenic drug.
Listen,
they don't tip well.
People, right? You get the people that are hallucinating and just like losing their minds. Or you're going to get these very sophisticated people that claim themselves as foodies, and I automatically want to throw them the fuck out. Listen, public service announcement. Stop saying you're a foodie. That just means you're an asshole. That's all that means. That's all that means.
Substitute asshole.
Foodies. No, you're not. You're just really fucking opinionated. Eat and shut the fuck up and enjoy. Did you like it or not? Fuck.
That's sweet.
With you 1,000%. Yeah. Mayo used to be insufferable like that. Then he started admitting that he ate a Skyline chili as a matter of choice. Reno, we love you, man. All right, see what you can do on the ticks. We won't press it any further. I mean, if you give us a call out of the blue.
I'll best to get there even myself. So I'll let you know.
All right, my friend. Always a pleasure. Guys. We'll have to get in there and see you soon.
Cheers. Let's go, baby. Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right, Reno Cervone, proprietor chef at Heritage.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Great to be with you. Peel yourself off to Mount Monday. Getting started a little bit late here because there were so many things to discuss that Lubie and I got a little carried away with our morning briefing that we have on Caffeine TV. You can Google that. Just say Caffeine TV morning briefing. Bunch of episodes will pop up, although it isn't always easy to find like today's episode. I guess for that you might have to go to the no filter thing, which nobody ever does because I think on that we have like 3 views. And then it'll pop up the number and it'll blow my mind. I'm going, wait, look at this, Lubie. We got 48,000 views on this piece of shit that we put together the other day where we were both stumbling and fumbling and had technical difficulties. And I'm thinking, this is the way it should be in this streaming business. So we keep making inroads, but we're still a long way away. But nice to be with you here on the show. We always appreciate the people here. And we kind of consider this like a local thing, right, Lubie? This is a little bit of an extension of what we used to do on the radio and having a lot of fun with that. So, and always appreciate the comments on the comment line. So feel free to jump in on that. We were talking about this. I mean, I couldn't help it. I mean, and far be it from me, I was never a Bryson DeChambeau fan. Never. I thought he was a weirdo. Then he started doing the juice. I don't know. Well, did he benefit as much as anybody from steroid use? Because where he became solid and started hitting. Remember when he was hitting 400-yard drives? And did DeChambeau ever go into that longest drive competition where, I mean, the guy takes out a driver and it's like 9 feet long and they bomb it down the middle of a football field and it ends up going like 420 yards? I think he may have tried his hand at that at some point, which was uncharacteristic. You didn't see a lot of PGA guys in that kind of stuff. It was usually some lumberjack that somehow managed to master enough of a golf swing to hit the ball straight. Even though he was swinging at full force with a sledgehammer. But I was never a big DeChambeau fan, although I couldn't resist this, Lubie. And as always, you wish you had made a larger wager there. I mean, why was I holding back? I had money from the previous weekend and the score on the Belmont Stakes. Why didn't I throw a stick on DeChambeau? I ended up managing to get $25 down at 20-1. I thought that was one of the big overlays in golf betting history. The guy had made a monster move on the final day of the PGA Championship at 33-1, much to the dismay of the professor. He came up a little bit short. Professor comes right back over the top with a stick on DeChambeau, and I'm sitting there rooting along with him. And at the same time, I couldn't help. I'm a Rory McIlroy fan. Are you, Lubie? I mean, the guy just seems like the kind of guy, an athlete that's really easy to embrace. Does he not?
Yeah, I don't have any issues with him. He doesn't. He's the one guy that stood up. Oh, there he went.
Oh, yeah, this thing is like a little bit loose here, Lubie. There you go.
There you go. He's the one guy that stood up against the live stuff and never really backed down in what he said, and I appreciate that. Fighting for the free world, the free trade world, opposed to whatever we call it.
I don't even know what to make of that anymore. I mean, when you look at what's going on with the sports in Saudi Arabia and the whole sports washing thing and their desire to just shovel as much cash as they can, outrageous amounts of money. I mean, it has to be tempting to capitulate to an outrageous amount of money, no matter how much money you have, Lubie. I mean, I couldn't help but think that somehow DeChambeau ended up with like a couple of $100 million. And if he never struck another golf ball, I guess he's entitled to that money. I'm not sure how these contracts go with the Saudis. Yeah, I'm thinking you're always accountable, right?
See, that's
is this one of those deals where there is no out?
That's my thing. Is I don't know. I just don't trust being in business with them with what we know they do behind closed doors. I fuck behind closed doors on video cameras. Rory,
I mean, they show you, the video of this embassy visit from Jamal Khashoggi. They're literally chopping the guy up, and they're all, "Hey, how you doing? Nice to be on camera." And I thought that there would be more anti-Live Tour sentiment coming from the American crowd there. And this is in North Carolina, a very conservative state, you would have to say. Mm-hmm. That they would find it offensive that this guy had sold out to a foreign country that seems to have no great love for the United States of America, even though it's kind of feigned, isn't it? You sense that they would just as soon see all of us dead, but at the same time, it's like, oh, well, very cordial because they got the big money and they got the oil. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't help finding myself, even when I'm about to make a score, just harboring a little bit of resentment towards the busting up of the PGA Tour, where they're scrambling trying to find some identifiable commodity, one of whom would be Rory McIlroy. If they could get McIlroy to get to a kind of, semi-Tiger Woods kind of stature in terms of winning, it would certainly be a pleasant transformation for them than trying to sell Scotty Scheffler, who the only time he got anybody excited is when he got arrested, when he was dragging that cop around like he was Randy Moss. Which was a bullshit thing. I mean, when you really look at it, how does it? I understand that not everybody would recognize Scotty Scheffler, but you're a cop who's assigned to kind of monitor the traffic at the gate going into the golf course, and you're going to go ahead and give this guy a hard time and take him away in handcuffs. Get the fuck out of here! He's leading the tournament, for God's sake.
Yeah, exactly.
He's 2 feet from the gate. You couldn't just wave him in.
The whole thing was
hanging onto the car door like he's surfing. That was ridiculous. But that's the only time he made any noise, right, Scotty Scheffler, outside of just, there's nothing wrong with, you don't have to be the most outgoing personality to be a great athlete and be admired as such. But, this guy is a bit of a stiff, you would have to say. Lives what you would say also would be sort of the clean, desired life that everybody lays out. He's got money, he's got fame, he's got family, he's just had a baby. And yet you're thinking, get the fuck out of here, Scotty. You're boring as shit. So it'd be nice to see somebody emerge to take over that role and kind of be the face of the PGA Tour. And yet Bryson DeChambeau decided with others to go ahead and take the Saudi money. And I thought the fans, Lubie, would be holding up posters with Jamal Khashoggi's picture on them and booing this guy every time he took the club back on. Fucking scab! Fucking scab!
No.
Hardly the case, man. They were rooting for him and chanting USA as if this guy was the epitome of Mr. America here. He may as well have been Bruce Springsteen with a golf club. Unbelievable. But wow, I mean, that goes up there. That was like Buckner-esque, Jackie Smith, anybody that ever made a fatal error. I mean, you're talking about, just one mistake that defines your career, one play where you've had a brilliant career for the most part. Jackie Smith was a hell of a player. The only thing you ever remember is him dropping that pass from Roger Staubach and the look on Staubach's face. Very sad. I mean, he went to his grave, and that's what people thought about him. Now, Buckner eventually, but it took him, 30 years to come out of this funk? Buckner was a solid, hard-nosed ball player. I remember covering Buckner when he was with the Dodgers, and I was living in L.A., and you thought, wow, this guy is an asset to any club. One of those guys is going to hit 284, 285 for you, bang out like 25 home runs at a time where that was a pretty good number before the juice, and play solid, all the way around. He was compromised in his career by an injury. What do you have, an ankle injury that sort of compromised his defensive ability, but nonetheless, I mean, went out there and played hard, but it was a real asset. Good guy to have batting like 60 in your batting order if you're the Dodgers of world championship caliber at the time. And that's it. I mean, I can still see that ball going through his legs. Mookie Wilson's little dribbler down the first base line. And that's all he'll be known for throughout his career, the choke job. Is that going to be – I don't know that McIlroy will be in that same stratosphere. because he's going to continue and he'll probably find a way to win something. I mean, he's been great for the most part this year. He's been in contention many, many times. I think that's his third or fourth second place finish in the U.S. Open. Is that possible? He's been right there knocking on the door many, many times, but he hasn't won a major in 10 years. And does he get over this, Lubie? I mean, you would have visions of that putt on 18. Like he misses a little dribbler on 16. Okay. DeChambeau missed one also. He had kind of gotten to this position where he was about to win the U.S. Open and shake off this whole, just absolute drought of major championships by making great putts earlier in the round. He hit a bunch of 20-footers. I mean, these weren't easy. DeChambeau was just missing. I mean, he really ran the putt, all of those long putts by the edge of the hole. I mean, just missing. And then he misses a short one. And next thing you know, I walked away for a while, and I come back, and I saw McIlroy. He was in a position on 16 to just tap in for a birdie. I mean, for a par. I couldn't believe it when I saw the scoreboard, and he was at minus. I'm like, he missed that? You got to be kidding me.
No, that's the thing is I didn't watch. I saw the last hole, and again, happy Father's Day to all fathers out there. We're at my parents. They were watching it religiously. Because of the two blowouts, I totally forgot about the U.S. Open, even though I know the professor and you had.
But you didn't have money on it.
Money, yeah, but you guys did. I was rooting you guys on early, and then I forgot about it. But they had it on, and it was literally the last hole, and DeChambeau was in not even the rough, like the fucking.
What is that brush they have at Pinehurst? That's the only defining thing about the course, in my opinion.
And branches.
What the fuck?
Fuck that was, and it was in the middle of the course. It was weird.
You needed a club by Black and Decker to if you were anywhere off the fairway. Although it wasn't treacherous to the degree that the British Open is, or the Open now, where you've got thatch and you've got weeds that are 6-7 feet tall. But it looked almost impossible. Actually, those guys were amazing hitting out of a very different. Well, when you had your ball in a clump of grass, Lubie, like that, it looked like crabgrass. Tell me you didn't go for lie improvement right away.
I threw it.
Yeah. Fuck this. I'm not hitting this. No, you can't do that in the pros. They were always, looking over to the official there. Can I get a little relief here? It's like, what are you, Matt Kuchar? When Spieth, they took his ball that was banked into a garbage dump that was on the side of the fairway in the British Open that one year and put him in the middle of the fairway. But and even at the end there, that 18th hole, I mean, could DeChambeau have been in worse shape?
Yeah, that's the only one I saw was he hit it out of that fucking area into the sand and then hits a ridiculous shot. What I didn't realize, so I just saw the two putts now. Both McIlroy putts were closer than that putt that he
hit. Oh, yeah.
They were the last. So he hits one and it like fucking rims out. Then he hits another one off the back. I've never even seen that. He hit it off the back of the hole and then it bounced out. Like, what the fuck was he? Like, those were gimmies. Even I don't miss those fucking, like, one of it was like 2 feet.
Yeah. Joe Rose used to do this all the time. I played a few rounds of golf with Joe Rose, the, of course, announcer for the unfamiliar, many, many years, QAM, NBC, played for the Dolphins. And he was one of those guys that's always talking a lot of shit. I mean, if you were playing tennis with him, he was talking shit the whole time. Playing golf, definitely. I mean, golf is just given to talking crap to the guy that you're playing against. And you can really get under somebody's skin. I mean, it's real easy after a while. But you would be looking at like a 6-inch putt and thinking, I'm just going to pick that up. And just as you're bending over, Rose would say, there's a little chicken left on that bone.
He'd make you hit it.
You're like, fuck you. You want to just fire the ball into the water and throw a club at his head. But those were putts that McIlroy had where, I mean, you would have always seen it. If that's the Ryder Cup, they're conceding those, no?
Yes, 100%. Those are gimmies. I'm like, why are they showing this? I'm like, where did he miss it? And then he booted it. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, God damn.
Unbelievable, man. And that was great. So what would you say? I mean, Jim Sarney's been asking this question. Is it a great victory for the new face of golf and Bryson DeChambeau, which I'm not ready to concede DeChambeau being the face of golf? Maybe, I mean, he possibly could become that over the next couple of years, but not on the LIV Tour. We don't see any LIV Tour. We only see this guy 4 times a year.
Yep.
That's it. The rest of the time, he's disappeared, and nobody knows what's going on the LIV Tour. Who is the leading money winner right now on the LIV Tour besides everybody that has money? Even Westhuizen has made like $50 million, for God's sake. They give the team, the winning team. I know we don't know what comprises the team in these tournaments, and they all get like $4 million apiece for being the winning team. I mean, it's a fucking joke, the amount of money that's being poured into that. But that being said, Where are they? I mean, can you tell me anything about what's going on there? Is Koepka doing well? What happened to your man, Brooks Koepka?
No idea.
Usually a dynamo in these spots. What we saw that Scotty Scheffler just didn't have it, so that was fine, and it certainly was helpful to me at 20-1. I thought DeChambeau was a big overlay at 20-1. I really did.
Oh well, because he made a run last major. Like he
was right there. Yeah, could have won
it. Crazy that they give him 20-1. I mean,
20-1 on this guy.
That's amazing.
Well, and also this was a course that supposedly I know it's par 70, but it's a very long course, so it's going to favor the long hitters.
Yep.
I don't know. Does anybody bomb the ball further than Bryson DeChambeau, or is he kind of backed off of that since he stopped doing the juice? What do you think?
I have no idea. You watch more than I do. I mean, he looked totally different.
He was off the fairway on virtually every hole. I don't know how many fairways he hit, but there weren't many. I mean, he was always in some little thing, some clump of grass like you would, pull out of your lawn right away and think that that's the last thing that you want to hit off of. But amazing. I mean, that thing came down to a 3-foot putt by Rory McIlroy, and that I don't think it rimmed down to the back. It just took a right-hand turn.
I saw two that I don't know. Maybe there was one that looked like it.
One on the 16 it hit the hole, but the one on 18 didn't even come close.
That's crazy.
I mean, he lets it go, and then boom, it goes right to the right side of the hole, and it's over for him. And he still had to be thinking that he was in there with a chance when he saw where DeChambeau was. I mean, he's bent over like Quasimodo. I mean, he looked like the Hunchback of Notre Dame trying to hit that shot off the out of the rough there, and the best he could do, you would think, was landed in the sand trap, which he did, and nobody had gotten down or saved par from that sand trap. It was about 50 yards from the green. Amazing how these guys can scramble. So what would you say? Is it more a case of DeChambeau winning the thing by coming up with the miraculous couple of shots there on 18, or Rory McIlroy? Sorry, he wanted me to make some choking sounds. Does that tantamount? I mean, we saw that was who was the guy? The guy in the British Open that year.
Greg Norman.
Van de Velde. Jean Van de Velde.
Van de Velde, yes.
That was Van de Velde-esque, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. No, it was choking. I mean, I saw that. Maybe I saw it in the wrong order, but one putt was like 2 feet. The other one was like 3 to 4 feet. And both are gimmies for any guy, let alone Rory McIlroy. It was weird. It was weird that they were clear misses. Like the minute they left the putter, you knew they were missing. Like,
oh my God.
Bad. It's like, what the fuck?
What was Cantley harassing him with the Joe Rose? Little chicken left on that bone there, Rory. It's been 10 years, Rory. 10 years. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
I can't say I was upset about it, but at the same time, I don't know. Do I have any passion in my heart at all, or do you just become ice cold when you're a bettor? You don't care if the jockey falls off the favorite, hurts himself, breaks his back, as long as he doesn't win. I'm not in that frame of mind yet. So and you could. I don't know. Were they rooting for McIlroy to win this thing? The announcers on the tournament, they seemed like they treated DeChambeau pretty fairly because the crowd was so solidly behind them. I found that really, really unusual. That you would think that Rory McIlroy's popularity far exceeded anything that Bryson DeChambeau could ever achieve or accumulate, especially after the defection to the Live Tour, where weren't those guys despised when they first said, "Hey, I ain't playing here anymore"?
Well, I think when either the PGA was bought by or murdered, I don't know what's happened with that, but whenever that happened,
it's been going on forever, my friend.
I think that threw it away. Like that's once the PGA itself succumbed to the Saudis. I know that they fought that, and there's been issues since then. But whenever that news came out, I think everyone just sort of said, "Fine, I guess it's not their fault. If Monahan himself is going to give in, then how can we blame these guys?" Because it feels like from that moment on, there was a sharp turn to sort of accept, even by the players. Like you haven't heard Tiger or any of these guys say anything about the Live guys since then. Since that moment,
and they got money too now. Recently, Tiger got $100 million.
That's
I think Rory got $50 million for staying with the PGA Tour as compensation pending this merger. I mean, you know what was weird when they had a picture of Richard Petty? Of course, it was in North Carolina, Pinehurst. So the favorite son of North Carolina, I would imagine, would be Richard Petty. And they show Petty not in his traditional cowboy hat with the big thing on the front of it, but in a turban. That was a concession to the fact that the Saudis have taken over sports. I mean, when you got NASCAR guys embracing Saudi Arabia,
You're petty in a turban.
My God. Confederate flag and a turban the guy's got. Pretty incredible. And I'm a big Petty fan also, but I thought that was disgraceful that they would portray him in that fashion. So that's the way that went. 20-1 on DeChambeau. You won't see that again, my friend. That's one of those deals where, you'll never get 8-5 on Secretariat again. But you will probably never see 20-1 on Bryson DeChambeau entering one of these majors at any time in the future. So it was nice to be able to get the cash on that. Well, I mean, we got a lot to talk about here, on the two series that are taking place. I think a lot of people have lost interest, unless you're a diehard Celtic fan, where people still inclined to get emotionally attached and involved in the Mavericks and the Celtics series. It appeared to be a foregone conclusion that the Celtics were going to win it. I think that still is the case, although wouldn't it be great if last year, the Celtics, what is it, 156-0? Teams in the postseason in the NBA that are up 3-0 are 156-0 in winning the series. Is that the number? I believe it is. 156?
Something like that. Yeah, something in O. It's some ridiculous number in O. Yes.
156-0. Now, last year, of course, the Celtics. Yeah, I mean, they're down 3-0 to the Miami Heat. They come back, they win the next three games, and then lose at home. I mean, get buried at home in a Game 7. How ironic would it be if the reverse happened this year, where they were up 3-0 in the championship round and ended up losing? Is that even remotely possible in your estimation, Mike Lubie-Lubitz?
I think it's
still seems hard to believe. It does.
I mean, I picked the Mavs to win the series, so I have more faith in the Mavs than what we've seen. But I also don't think what we saw Friday is a sign of that. I mean, I don't know what the fuck that was. The Mavs guys woke up and the Celtics sort of limped away. Like it just, I mean, and they weren't hitting their shots on top of that. So you'd presume they'd find their shot again because the 3-point shot is their big thing. And the Mavs were hitting their shots at will, and you would have to think that that's not going to exactly happen again. I don't know if we'll see another blowout, but I feel like that was the Mavs exploding and the Celtics sort of whimpering and heading home. And I presume you'll see a return of form for the Celtics tonight.
I'm laughing because I'm looking at the chat line here, and of course our good friend Jim Sarney is weighing in, and I started thinking this guy may end up having a sex change in protest of the fact that he thinks that we're discriminating against women here on the show. But I'm sorry, Jim, that the women's LPGA event had no comparison whatsoever in terms of my involvement or I would imagine most others. It doesn't mean that women are inferior. It just means that you had a better sporting event being conducted by the men in this case. And it may have been tremendously dramatic. What was there, a three-way playoff? But I would think, and Jim would be the most aware of this, the ratings for the Women's Golf Tour. Imagine being the poor network that was having to carry that versus the U.S. Open on NBC. I can't imagine that it wasn't 10-1, the differential in the ratings. And then the only stories that come out of the WNBA now are who was the latest to beat the shit out of Caitlin Clark. Yes. They're treating Caitlin Clark like the Panthers should have treated Draisaitl in that Game 4.
Which they didn't, which is fine.
Is Jim Sarney going to have a sex change? That would be the question. To protest our misogynistic discrimination that he perceives. Now, I have no problem. I watch a lot of women's events. I do. I enjoy it.
I used to love plenty of women's sports. I don't really watch many these days, but I've watched women's tennis for years. I used to watch women's soccer. I have nothing against women in sports. I just don't watch women's basketball. I'm sorry, I don't.
Those are the big stories, right? Now Clark ends up having probably her best all-around ball game as a professional player, and you're thinking, all right, maybe people there was so much hype surrounding her. I mean, it's kind of like any rookie that comes into the NBA, and you're thinking you can't possibly measure up right away. I mean, nobody's going to come in and just start lighting it up from the very, very beginning, but. And taking a little bit of time into consideration for an adjustment, but might have had her best game. But yet the only thing anybody's talking about is the fact that Angel Reese gave her another noogie, and the refs called a flagrant foul. And Caitlin Clark is, no matter what kind of beating she takes, she just has to sit there and go, well, that's the game.
Yeah, she keeps saying that at least.
Yeah. When is she going to haul off and just slug somebody? Is that what they're trying to get her to do, Caitlin Clark? Become like a sort of a despicable character where she capitulates to dirty play just to get back at these people for the way that they have treated her in the beginning. I don't know, but Yeah, let's face it. I mean, if that's the only attention you're getting, that's not good. Not good at all. And then when are they going to correct the slight of Caitlin Clark not being on the Olympic team? I mean, that still is a burning issue that I think they're going to take that spot that was for. Here I am, an expert on it, Chelsea Gray, and put her on the Olympic team. I think that is almost a necessity. All right, we're going to come back with more. The Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. We'll get into that a little bit. Bobrovsky finally had a horrible game. Lubie, horrible. He gives up 5 goals on about 18 shots. And it did appear that Edmonton had changed its approach to the game a little bit. So we'll get into that in just a moment here on the Defo Show. That's Mike Lubitz. A little bit overly concerned, I would think, Lubie, no?
Just annoying. I mean, I'm not really concerned. It was just annoying. It was annoying to see it get that out of hand. And I'm sure Celtics fans felt the same way. Like, well, no, they were obnoxious, arrogant assholes. But to assume a sweep is weird to me. Like, I think in that level, like, I sort of expected the Mavs and the Oilers. Look, I said it. I said the Mavs are going to win that night. I figured the Mavs would win. It was just how. And the same thing with the Oilers. Like, I wanted to watch the game. I thought the Panthers could find a way to win. But I wasn't going to be surprised if the Oilers found a way to keep their series alive. This is their season. A closeout game, let alone a sweep, is fucking really hard to do.
Yeah.
I could see them winning. I wasn't going to be shocked at that. I was actually sort of nervous that they probably would win. It was the way. It was like the Panthers haven't fallen on their face like that the entire playoffs. Like, defensively, they were fucking hurt. It was like the defense we used to see 2-3 years ago. We haven't seen that defense this entire year, let alone these playoffs. And on offense, they just looked like they weren't attacking. They weren't getting at the net. They were giving up the puck in weird situations. It was just weird.
You hate the shorthanded goal too to start the scoring.
Goals, oh my God, it's not good on the power play. Their power play are you did assume it. You literally assumed it fucking Friday. But anyways,
it's like they dug up Yvonne Cornway. Man.
They're like better off. They're not. They like lose a guy and get worse. I mean, I'm sorry. They gain a man advantage and get worse. It's like fucking weird. Let alone they've given up like 3 shorthanded goals in the last like 5 or 6 games.
So and they have a good power play. I mean, during the course of the regular season,
they were great in the playoffs. They've been in. They've scored a few.
Edmonton too, though. I don't know what that is. I mean, Edmonton had I think they had the best power play in the NHL during the course of the regular season. The Edmonton Oilers. And they were doing nothing. I mean, early in the playoffs, they were scoring, and they have some ridiculous low percentage of like 2 for their last 25, including the 0 going into Game 4 against the Panthers. Wasn't enough. We'll get into it. Wasn't enough to frighten you away. Now, we'll get into this whole business about the 11-1 on the Panthers sweep also, which would have gone up in smoke, so I'm glad I didn't do it. But we'll come back with that, and we'll do some math for you and more in a moment. Now that. Sex change for Sarni? No, I mean, I'm only kidding, Jim. I'm only kidding. It's 8:42.
Here, let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
This comes from the great Defo Llama. It's the bets you don't make, the chances you don't take, that can compromise an otherwise incredible life, my friend.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
couple of quick baseball notes. Mookie Betts, having an MVP season for the Dodgers, which is not an easy thing to distinguish since the Dodgers have so many stars, including Ohtani, who would be a candidate also. That's pretty remarkable, isn't it, Lubie? I mean, maybe we're really seeing the essence of how great Ohtani is, because he's not even pitching this year, and he's still having close as a DH, close to an MVP season, coming off Tommy John surgery, which is pretty incredible. Hit a couple of homers yesterday in the Dodgers game. But Mookie Betts gets hit on the hand by a pitch and breaks his hand. And I don't know, how long is that going to keep you out of the lineup? You would think a minimum of a month. Having an outstanding season. Aaron Judge has been on fire, but it's always fun to see games at Fenway, isn't it? Shouldn't this struck me, shouldn't all All-Star Game home run derbies, no matter where the All-Star Game is being played, be conducted at Fenway Park?
I mean,
Wouldn't
it's
that be the place? I mean, you want to see the right-handed hitters attack the green monster,
right,
and the lefties,
fence.
they can hit those cheapo Yastrzemski home runs against a pesky pole, which is like, 300 feet down the right field line with a very low fence. I think, did you ever think, I mean, when you're standing at home plate in a Major League ballpark, which I've had the occasion to do, they had a sort of home run derby of sorts. I don't know that it was a home run derby, but the Marlins at one point, when they were playing at what is now the Hard Rock Stadium. At that time, I think it was Skidmark Park. But they invited the media to come in and go into the batting cage and see if you could hit one out of the park. If you hit one out of the park, they were giving you some kind of tremendous amenities at future games. And I'm looking out there going, my God, the fucking fence is a mile away. I literally, with an aluminum bat, Lubie, I crushed a ball, and it would have been a single over the shortstop's head. I hit the ball as hard as I could hit it, and I mean, not even close. But didn't you think you could hit one out of Fenway when you were a kid? I know a lot of people thought, well, geez, if I turned around and hit left-handed, I could hit one out down the right field line at Yankee Stadium. But would that not be a better way to conduct the home run derby? Just whatever city it's in. The All-Star Game could be in San Diego, but the home run derby should be at Fenway Park. I'm thinking that.
I mean, I don't know logistics, but yeah, that Fenway. I don't know how comfortable it is to sit. You guys both said it was made for people in the 1800s.
Oh, it was screwed in when the Bambino was traded, and they
or for like 4'5".
What a piece of shit! And this was right behind home plate.
But the park itself, the way with the fence, just opposed to the short porch,
and the monster. Everybody wants to see the monster in play.
Like, it's cool. Like, I think I always thought it was cool. Yeah,
it's great. You know, you see a ball gets crushed by the hitter, and you don't see the flight of the ball right away, but then you see the left fielder looking up, and you're thinking, hit the wall, hit the wall, hit the wall. If it's being struck by the team that you're rooting against. Yankees, Red Sox last night, 9 stolen bases for the Red Sox in the game.
Nice. I like to see that. I like to see someone actually taking action to the field of play and maybe make baseball not as fucking boring.
It's unfortunate that Ellie De La Cruz, the shortstop for the Reds, is not on a team that gets more national attention, because this guy's just flat out fun. Did you see this play he made the other day where he steals second base by a mile, and he's leading the league in stolen bases, and actually has, I mean, holy moly wills, he's on a pace to steal like 90 or so, maybe even more. And nice to see that people are running in Major League Baseball again. And then the pitcher attempts to pick him off at second base. I think it was a pitcher that threw the ball into center field, and the guy scores from second base on the play. Never stops running. Ball's in center field, and De La Cruz goes all the way home and slides home and beats the tag by a split second. And that's exciting stuff. So 9 stolen bases for the Red Sox. They crushed the Yankees last night. I think the final was 9-3. One thing, I mean, as hot as Aaron Judge has been, does he have any ability to hit a slow breaking ball? Really, you would have thought it was Stanton up there. I mean, just waving at these breaking balls that didn't seem to have that much movement on them. I'm watching. I'm going, my God, this guy is like way out of it. And this is in the midst of one of the hottest streaks that we've seen a guy have in Major League Baseball in a long, long time. Over a long stretch of like 45 games, Judge has been on fire. And yet, I'm watching this guy throw a bunch of slow breaking pitches. A couple of at-bats with Aaron Judge, and not even close, man. I mean, just swinging and missing by a mile. But and also, I mean, we were on this from the very beginning before the season even started. How horrible are your Miami Marlins?
Oh, good. I mean, I haven't paid attention
My
at all.
God.
Not even a little. I like that Jazz Chisholm, much to what I said 2 years ago,
Yes.
was called by the players the most overrated.
Overrated. Yeah, good call.
And he is. He's on the cover of things. He wears the flashy shit, and then he bats 250, doesn't steal bases, doesn't hit home runs, doesn't get on base, and fields
Lousy
like
fielder. What was his original position, Chisholm? Was he a shortstop?
He was a shortstop, and he was an elite level shortstop who could hit and field. And then they
So why not put him in center field so you could have this 190 hitter at shortstop?
They fucked with it. This organization's a disaster. Look, it's what we called the Panthers as recent as 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
That was your joke that we would always talk about. Was every year they would tell us they're young, they're coming, they're young, they're coming, and then they would go away. By November, they'd be fucking eliminated.
I'll never forget that interview we had with Mike Hill. Well, I mean, let's face it. We were out there to do a little bit of a stroke job, Louis. It wasn't like we were going to sit there and contest any of the things that he was saying. And, I mean, the raves that he had about Jazz Chisholm and Sixto Sanchez, and we're sitting there like drooling, lapping all this, hey, yeah, Mike, they should be great. I feel like a complete fool. I can still envision us out there because it was always somewhat suspect that we'd even get the show on the air. Plus, it was a long schlep up there to Jupiter to get the show going early in the morning. What did we leave at 4 in the morning, Lubie?
Yeah, you have to get there super early.
Oh, my God. Starting a show at 6, so we didn't know if anything was going to be set up. Seeloff used to help us out. Kyle Seeloff is now the radio play-by-play guy, and I like Kyle, but Jesus, stop the screaming.
Oh, he screams? Oh, he screams?
Oh, what a screamer.
He's the most mild-mannered human being ever.
Only for the Marlins, though. See, I mean, you have to have a little bit of consistency in that, Gus Johnson. But, yeah, I mean, intolerable. You can't follow what's going on. Guy hits a ball into the gap there. They're down 10-1, and this guy is just screaming like a maniac. And I'm thinking, come on, let's put things in perspective here. The team is shit. I know you want to try and develop some enthusiasm as the local guy, but you didn't hear Glenn Geffner doing this. Now, some people thought Dave Van Horn, who I like very much, was brain dead when he got the job.
He's a little mild-mannered.
He was, yeah. He was
a little out of it. He was a nice guy. We talked to him a few
very
times.
nice man, a super nice guy.
But it felt like he was ready to
and somewhat of a baseball treasure chest too. He was one of those guys. Yeah.
He knew the game very well. He was just a little older, and it wasn't hidden.
No.
Pretty clear.
Who's got my scorecard? I think he fouled down the first inning. You hear the pages turning. It's crazy. But no, and I don't mean to make this look, what's the point of knocking anybody? The kid earned the job, and let's hope he sort of settles into it a little bit. Some of the other stuff, I mean, let's face it, are a lot of people listening to baseball on the radio?
Well, with baseball on the radio and then this team, that combination, I'm not going to put it past him to try and create excitement when the organization has tied his hands, his legs. And
are they the worst organization in sports? Is it possible, even with 2 championships?
Yeah, because the thing is, they finally sort of figured it out, and people gave them credit for the first time in a long time. And then they just junked everything for zero reason. Like, she wasn't good at drafting. She hadn't been here long. She hadn't been, and people like me were like, yeah, you're right. She hasn't drafted anyone. And then people who knew baseball were like, she's been there for a week. Who the fuck is she drafted? They're blaming her for people that had nothing to do with her. And then the worst, the one thing you would do, fine, let her be president because she clearly knows baseball and clearly knows how to find a way to make a winner out of fucking trash and give her help underneath her. They want to do the opposite. They wanted to have her help get a president that would be over the top of her. And it's like, what? The woman should have.
If this Bendix guy turns things around, it would be one of the most remarkable achievements from where he began and the things that he's done so far. Peter Bendix is the guy. I keep thinking it's William Bendix. And it may as well be William Bendix, the old actor. What was Bendix in? Was he in Wagon Train? I'm not sure.
I don't know. The only Bendix I know is this stupid ass who got the job, who is the reason why a woman who actually shut us all up, did a hell of a job, is gone. And all he's done is fucking light fire to what seemed to be a promising future.
And when you're talking about prospects and some of the guys that got in deals, these were made before Kim Eng even was a consideration to be with the Marlins organization. I mean, 2 guys we just mentioned, Jazz Chisholm and Sixto Sanchez, 2 big-time prospects that haven't done shit. I mean, Jazz Chisholm at best is I remember we used to curse out Clete Boyer's hitting because he only batted .250 one of the greatest defensive players in baseball history at his position or anywhere on the field for that matter, the great Clete Boyer of the Yankees. Batted eighth. He hit like 250 with 20 home runs. And as young kids, we thought, fuck, man. I mean, why do we got to have Clete instead of Ken? His brother, who was a lifetime above 300 hitter. But I'm too old school in this, Lubie. You know that. I was looking at the stats. I think there are only 4 guys. Is it in the National League? There are only 4 guys hitting above 300.
Really?
If you look at the league leaders.
It's so stupid.
You imagine? I mean, it's June. We're not halfway. Remember, I used to follow this very closely when I was very much enamored and infatuated with baseball statistics. And, towards the end of the year, when you got into like the middle of September, you would see the 10th guy hitting 299 and go, man, these guys suck. If nobody can do that. And now, literally, you get to the hitter number 5 in the National League batting average leaders.
There's like 6 or 7. But what's interesting is the 10th best average in all of baseball is 300.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Hitting 300, and that's the 10th best average. That was like the 10, like you're saying.
Failing 7 out of 10 times.
That's crazy.
What does that tell you? I mean, we know the game's emphasis has changed, but is it for the better? If they're, I'm watching Rizzo last night. I mean, what happened to that theory? That's the most basic fundamental. Every little league coach was screaming this in your ear for 50 years. You get the 2 strikes, choke up a little bit, just trying to make contact, and worked for the most part. I mean, you at least hung in there and didn't strike out feebly. Maybe made a useful out. Got yourself a hit or 2, hit the ball the opposite way. Not even in the mindset of major leaguers today. Imagine it. Only 10 guys hitting 300 in the entire majors.
That's the whole majors.
My
Juan
God.
Soto is batting 350.
Of course, we traded one of them for nothing earlier in the year. God, it's leading the league.
We did. Juan Soto is batting 315, and that's 4th in all of the 315 is
Amazing.
4th in the majors.
It's a good 315 he's hitting also. Judge is over 300.
Maybe because I don't see but I guess because he switched leagues, they're not counting. I don't even see him. They're not even showing.
Louis Rise? No, he didn't. He's in the National League. He's leading the league. 326.
Okay, Louis Rise. That average, they're not even showing.
With San Diego. Yeah, no, he's doing fine. All right, so let's get into this. A quick synopsis here of what's going to happen. Now, it's Tuesday night, so we'll have more time to talk about this tomorrow.
I didn't talk about it at all, actually. I'm like, good for you. You didn't make me fucking wallow. You didn't touch on it.
Because I don't know. I didn't develop any real deep concern. I mean, you have the 3-0 lead. Now it's 3-1. Edmonton was as you said, it's hard to sweep. Especially you're going to try and clinch on the road. I don't buy for 1 second that the Panthers went into that game thinking, hey, let's lose this one and then win the cup at home.
No, I know the professor brought that up because he's, as much as he says he's not, he's 100%.
That can't be in a player's mind at all. Not in hockey, especially.
Look, my buddy was like, I'm not going to lie at the beginning of the game, and he took this back because they lost 8-1. But he's like, I'm not going to lie, I don't want the season to end. And I know a lot of people, because it's been a fun season and the games are fun, and there's the abyss after this until fuck it, because no one cares about baseball anymore until late August for football. So they're like, as long as we can get this, you know me, I'm a neurotic. So I'm like, no, end the fucking season today. It'll be fine with me. Like there's that, but that's not the players. I mean, like none of it was on purpose, but like we talked about this morning, like it's hard to fake desperation. Like the Oilers were literally playing for their season at home in a country rabid for a title, and the Panthers were up 3-0. And the same thing with the Celtics. Like, you can't fake that. So I get that. My issue wasn't that they lost. It wasn't that they gave up a lot of goals. Because, look, the Oilers were ready to fucking explode. Fine. And
they were probably due to catch a couple of breaks also.
And the Panthers' defense had played fucking amazing. At some point, you're going to have some give. Okay. It was that they gave up 8. It wasn't that it was 4 or 5. 8. Like, how the fuck? It looked like a baseball blowout. Like, goals is.
They look like clowns, literally, playing the same system that looked so brilliant up until that point.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, and again, Edmonton was clearly a lot more aggressive. So you would think and Maurice has been great at adjustments, and I'm sure they'll make adjustments. And I'm not like shaking my boots. They have a nice lead, and they're coming home, and they've played actually well at home.
Well, even if it got to 7 games, they're still playing.
You don't want that. Look, I don't think. Look. To me, and the silver lining for both the Celtics and the Panthers is you did get blowout. Because if it's a close game, you can poo-poo it. Oh, fine, they got one. No, you got your fucking ass handed to you. It was embarrassing. You're up 3-1 in the series, And it wasn't, you were embarrassed. I'm sorry. Both of them got fucking, the Celtics were down by 42 points in a goddamn fucking NBA Finals game. And the Panthers lost 8-1. Like, that's a fucking joke. It's embarrassing. It's pathetic. So to me, you can't, if you were taking these teams lightly, which would be psychotic, you can't now. Now you're like, okay, these teams are not going to let us, they're not going to give us a goddamn title. We're going to have to earn this shit. So that's the only positive to me as a Panther fan is that they got their ass handed to them. Like, they got fucking bent over. So
Skinner was better in goal for Edmonton.
Yeah, and Bobrovsky sucked. And
Connor McDavid finally scored. Draisaitl was more of a factor.
Much I give Bobrovsky shit, he's not going to be like that again, I don't think. And look, to me, it was their defense. The defense has been why Bobrovsky was looking so good. They weren't allowing rebounds. They weren't allowing passes inside around the net. That was the total opposite. In this game, they were letting the Oilers run free. The Oilers were doing whatever the fuck they wanted. I presume that'll change for Game 5. It's just annoying that they let it get that out of hand, that they didn't have any pride to just say, okay, we're fucking done. You know, like, do something. Like, they had no fight in them. Both the Celtics and the Panthers, honestly.
Yeah, Celtics, I don't know, which was more inexplicable.
No, they're both on the same level to me. I can't decipher between the two because, again, in basketball, even when you're getting blown out, you always make a run. The fact they made no run. They made no run. There was never a run. And in hockey, you usually, okay, fine, at least get bitter and start punching people. The Panthers didn't even do that. They were like, fuck it.
Nothing, yeah. I mean, it kind of let them off the hook there completely. Never wake up a sleeping dog. I don't know that they were sleeping. They just weren't really getting the results that they normally would. I'm talking about McDavid and Draisaitl. They were factors in the first 3 games, but no great results, tangible results. Does anybody since Dwight Freeney? I don't know that I've seen better spin moves than Connor McDavid has.
No, he's great.
I mean, he goes in, and then just does that complete 360 spin, like he was Michel Kwan. I mean, it's unbelievable while carrying the puck. And then he's big and he's faster than everybody else. Terrific stuff. So, yeah, the last thing on earth you would want to do is not close out a series when you had the chance. And we know that that's the cliche, that the toughest game to win is the one to close out a series. So makes for 2 sort of interesting games. One tonight with the Celtics and the Mavs. Most people are of the frame of mind that, okay, no big deal. The Celtics bounce right back. I don't know. Could Tatum and Brown be any worse than they were in this game? Not much.
And the tertiary guys.
What was Porzingis the difference? You should.
I mean, he matters.
Not in a game like that. Yeah.
Well, Celtics fans said that they can do it without him, but when I was poo-pooing him, they were saying he matters, and he clearly does. I mean, he opens things up on offense a great deal, and even though he's a sieve on defense, unlike Luka, he can just stand there at his position and create havoc, and he 100% was. Luka and Kyrie were not getting to the basket at all.
What drugs was Luka on, too? I mean, to even be out there.
Well, Jason Kidd said it, and I think it resonated with him. Like, when he just tries, even if he sucks on defense, just trying and not letting guys go right by him helps their defense out so much. And you saw it. Like, the fact that he was getting in front of guys, the Celtics were a little confused and allowed a lot of easy baskets for the Mavs on the other end. I don't think we have series in either regard. I think 3-1 is 3-1, but I think there will be more interest. Like, I was going to sort of write it off, this kind of a game. Like, if there was a close game and then you go Game 5, I figured Celtics, Panthers win easy. Now, because of the blowouts, it makes you feel a little bit better about the underdogs or the teams that are the dogs.
I'm thinking Edmonton is more of a danger than Dallas is. Although, so watch. Dallas will win tonight, and Edmonton will go down tomorrow. I'd love to see the Stanley Cup. But wouldn't that be? I mean, it's just at this point you're craving it, are you not, Louis?
Oh, you just want to win. To me, it's like, fuck, you guys. You finally are up. You're up 3-0. You were dominant look, my buddy who's a Rangers/Knicks fan was calming me down. He's like, dude, yes, 8-1 is fucking insane.
It really didn't matter much after pretty much 4-1. You saw that it was going south.
They gave it away.
It didn't matter after that.
He's like, look, the reality is the Panthers have been the best team in the playoffs by far. Yeah. He's like, that doesn't change because of this game. Edmonton.
And overall, over the last 2 years, I mean, look, back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals appearances. Didn't have much of a chance last year because of the injuries. We were all saying how healthy they were and how great it was, what a difference. And they've acquitted themselves very well. I mean, think about it. They won 3-0, 4-1. Then they were up 4-1 in a game that they gave up a couple of third period goals, which was uncharacteristic. They've sort of dominated everything until the other night. Right?
Yes. So, and look, the Oilers may think they found something, and that's fine. To me,
they probably did.
You'll see a lot. It all had to do with if you let Draisaitl and McDavid work, there's a reason they got into the finals. And that's what those other teams did, where they could only shoot 8 times but get 3 goals because they're really great with the puck. If you hit them in the fucking mouth and don't let them maneuver around and don't let them pass clean, then you could be up 3-0. And so we'll see. And the same thing with the Celtics. Like, if you're letting Luka facilitate, and that was a big difference in this game, was not only his defense, but he was able to be comfortable with the basketball, and the other guys were able to be comfortable in the series. You hadn't seen Washington. I forgot Derek Jones Jr. was even on their fucking team. The Gabbard guy.
Gabbard, yeah, is his name.
And Lively, those 4 guys were huge in getting them there. They were non-existent the entire series. They all had major imprints on that game. You would presume the Celtics won't allow that. The Celtics have like 5 or 6 really good defenders. Where the fuck were they in game 4? Like, they were nowhere to be found. I'd presume they would have a lot more defensive intensity. To me, that was what the game for both teams was. The Panthers and the Celtics sort of fell on their sword defensively. And I presume you won't see that in game 5.
I believe, and I think as motivation, they're going to have an open coffin viewing of Bill Walton at halftime. So just to keep the Celtics involved in this thing, they need some kind of inspiration after that one. And Edmonton looms to me as being far more dangerous in this spot.
Yeah, I mean,
than the Mavs do, even though we thought the Mavs would win the series. And we all had Panthers in 6.
Because the Panthers, quote unquote, dominated most of the series, and every game was close by the end of the game. Like, it's fucking hockey. Like, it's a weird sport as it is when you're playing well, let alone it takes so much to play well that you can have games like we just freaking saw. So, yes, I don't think either series is, quote unquote, over. I think the Celtics series is more over than the Panthers. Again, they're up 3-1, so they're still in a good spot. If you told me the Panthers were going to be in the Stanley Cup Finals up 3-1, I would have taken it at the beginning of this year. I just hope that they learn from that goddamn game. You can't take anything for granted, and you can't take anything easy. It's fucking hockey. It's nuts. And if you're going to sit there and keep giving them the goddamn puck on free breakaways, like Reno said, is what we did in game 1, and they had closed it out for game 2 and game 3. Well, they were the worst they've been all playoffs in game 4 with that.
Always disgusting to give up a shorthanded goal to open the scoring in a situation, any situation for that matter, but especially when you have a chance to go and close it out. And yet, all that being said, as horrible as they were in the first period of that game, they're sitting there at 2-1 at one point, and that's kind of been their MO. As a couple of going back to when they won the President's Trophy, it's a little bit of a different team. In fact, quite a bit of the team is different, although the core is somewhat the same. But that was their big thing. They would give up a lot of goals, but they always found a way to bounce back in the third period, and they've been the strongest team by far in the third period throughout the playoffs. So I'm thinking they both in. I think the Celtics find a way to win this game, although I'll be rooting for the Mavericks so we don't look so stupid. And you're stupid. I feel like Hank Goldberg here. You're stupid. And then I think the Panthers will reverse things. There was a change in strategy. I think it was PK Subban who I saw say this or heard say this on one of the between periods analysis shows where he said, you know what, Edmonton has got nobody in front of Bobrovsky the entire time.
Yep.
And if you noticed in this game, they had like two guys oftentimes standing right in front of Bobrovsky.
Yep.
As they started to pull away, and then even later on in the game, it just became a slaughter. So that I don't know if that represents a change in strategy or just consciousness, but it did seem like there was a conscious effort to get more traffic in front of them.
Consciousness. The Panthers were doing a good job of keeping them out. That game, the Oilers said, "Fuck you, we're going to find our way in," and it changed everything.
Yeah. All right, a lot of fun, Lubie. A lot of good stuff, and thank you. I never thought I'd see the day that I was rooting for Bryson DeChambeau to do anything well, because I did consider him a low-life live tour scab, and I was really surprised to see the reaction of the crowd there at North Carolina. Although, were many in the crowd also wearing turbans, or was it just Richard Petty? What do you think? I didn't really see. I like the raucous crowds though. Raucous crowds at golf are good.
Yeah.
So let's all go out and find a way to hit Caitlin Clark in the head. This poor girl, man. Jesus Christ. They're treating her like a mass wrestler from Minnesota that comes into the Garden to take on Monsoon. It's really sort of unfathomable that this woman would receive. So, is she receiving a lot of respect because of that? Or what would you consider that?
I don't know. The one with Reese didn't seem that bad to me. It just
I didn't see it. I read about it. I didn't see it.
Came across to go get the ball and she hit her head.
Stuff happens in basketball. I didn't mind
being called a flagrant because, again, as we know this day and age, anything above the shoulders, they'll call a flagrant. Fine.
Yeah.
But it didn't seem like she went and it wasn't Bill Lambier on ran. Like it wasn't fucking old school. It was she went for the ball and her arm as she's going for the ball hit the top of her head. It wasn't like fucking.
I'll never forget. I was in some practice for some team at some stage of my basketball life, which, I wasn't exactly the kind of stuff that was going to make headlines or anything, but I always enjoyed playing. I really loved the game, and I was able to play with some decent players. And I, for some reason, found myself on the inside, which I rarely was on the defensive end. And I got hit in the face by a guy, and this guy had to be 6'5" and 260 at a time where people weren't that big.
Yeah.
Where like your center was 6'5". And hits me right in the bridge of the nose. All I was seeing was stars.
Oh God!
And today that would probably be a flagrant. There was no foul in the play. It was just some bullshit that happens. I had no business being in that spot. And when the guy swung around, he hit me right in the nose. And you felt like you got hit by George Foreman in his prime. But it wasn't something to make a big stink about. That's the other thing. I mean, are people just overblowing this?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're going after her, but again, that's what supposedly they do for everyone. We just live in an age where we have video of all things, and we show video on multiple platforms all day long. And on top of that, she's been this savior of women's basketball, so we're keeping eyes on her. I mean, I think she's getting treated like any other star will get treated. They're not going to just give her easy baskets. And
they're winning some games now too, Olivia.
I give her credit for that. Yeah. Like telling people, look, don't use me in racial wars either way. It's fucking basketball. I'm playing basketball. So I give her credit for how she's handling it, and I think her opponents are just playing the game. I mean, it is what it is.
Seems like the fans and the media certainly is solidly behind this woman and want to see her succeed, which is great. And I want to see her on the Olympic team because I do consider that to be one of the most blatant errors in judgment ever in the history of choosing up sides. All right, we got to run. Thanks so much for being with us. Mike Mayo, where are we at today? Home?
We're home today.
Okay, very good. We'll do that at 1 o'clock right here on South Florida Live. And then the real convenient place to catch that is on Let's Eat South Florida.
Yes.
Which, what is it, 155,000 people? That's pretty nice. So all Broward, seemingly mostly in Broward County. And if I'm a restaurant, I want to be involved with the Mike Mayo Lunchbox Show. That's for sure, which many fine places on the Mike Mayo roster. It's nice. I mean, you're riding around town and you're just looking at all these great spots. You're thinking, oh, yeah, they're on the Mayo Show. Fantastic. So good job of doing that. All right. We'll see you at 1 o'clock today. For Mike Lubie, I'm Jeff DeForest. And our apologies, whatever offensive stuff we were saying about women that got Jim Sarney started here on the chat line. We meant them all. No. We love women, Jim. We really do. I mean, who doesn't, right? Any self-respecting male, for the most part, usually. And even if you weren't inclined to... view women as something as possible sexual engagement. You still love women, right?
Yes, 100%.
We love our girls. Come on, get out of here, Jim. All right, we'll see you tomorrow and later on today, 1 o'clock with the Mike Mayo Lunchbox Show. For Mike Lubie, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll have more. We'll probably get somebody on about the Cats tomorrow. No,
I'll do my best. Yes.
What do you think? Steve Goldstein doesn't return our calls anymore. What happened?
I'll either go to Reno or go to.
Reno would be great, man, because he really brings it to the table. Minnie, of course, struggles to get up in the morning. Don't blame him. He's up late watching those horror shows with the Marlins. And then what? I mean, if the thing ends, Lubie, then what? I mean, we talk about the Stanley Cup for the rest of the week, and then you got two. This is where it gets bad in South Florida, when you have the Marlins playing. Is this their worst season? That they may rival the 62 Mets. I think, for ineptitude this year. What are they playing at? Like a 3-30? Not even. Are they winning 30% of their games?
I don't think so.
The Marlins, I haven't looked at the very bottom of the standings. I don't usually get that far down there. But, and this would be, I think, a day. Oh, no, they played in the afternoon. The Marlins are now 23-48, a 324 winning percentage. So let's assume that's 333, 162 games. You're talking about 54 games they're going to win this year, Lubie. Wow. mean, that's a modern-day version of being the 62 Mets, isn't it? 54 games. They're on a path to win 54 stinking games. And of late, they've been even more horrible than they were even recently. So, getting swept by the Nationals. The Nationals, they threw in the towel on competing after they won their World Series, didn't they?
Yep.
All right. We will see you guys later on. Thanks so much for tuning in. For Mike Lubie, Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. See you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:14.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my